HOA Karen ordered grandma's flag removed, didn't know my wife's a military officer. The summer air hung heavy with the scent of freshly cut grass and simmering resentment. In the quiet cul-de-sac of Willow Grove, a single act of defiance was about to unravel a neighborhood's fragile peace. Karen Whitaker, with her perfectly manicured nails and a perpetual scowl, had just declared war on an old woman's pride. It started innocently enough. Willow Grove was a tight-knit community, the kind where kids rode bikes until dusk and neighbors swapped stories over picket fences. At the heart of it was Mrs. Eleanor Grayson, an 82-year-old widow whose modest home flew a weathered American flag. That flag, frayed at the edges but proud, had been raised every morning since her son, Tommy, died in Vietnam. It wasn't just fabric to Eleanor, it was a piece of her heart, a daily ritual to honor her boy. Karen moved into the neighborhood 6 months ago. Her sleek SUV and designer sunglasses, a stark contrast to the cul-de-sac's humble charm. She wasted no time asserting her dominance. As president of the Homeowners Association, Karen wielded her clipboard like a scepter, issuing citations for untrimmed hedges or mailboxes that didn't match her aesthetic vision. Most neighbors grumbled, but complied. Eleanor, however, was different. She ignored Karen's notes about her unsightly flag, politely nodding when Karen knocked on her door to lecture her about community standards. Mrs. Grayson, that flag is an eyesore, Karen said one humid July morning, her voice dripping with condescension. She stood on Eleanor's porch, tapping her foot. It's faded, torn, and frankly, it lowers property values. Replace it or take it down. Eleanor, her hands trembling slightly, clutched the doorframe. It was Tommy's, she said softly. He sent it home from his last tour. I won't take it down. Karen's lips curled into a smirk. Then I'll handle it myself. That moment lit the fuse. Over the next week, Karen's campaign against Eleanor intensified. She sent daily emails to the HOA, citing bylaws about maintaining neighborhood uniformity. She cornered neighbors at mailboxes, rallying them to her cause with tales of how Eleanor's ragged flag was dragging down their home values. Most shrugged her off, unwilling to challenge a grieving mother. But Karen didn't need their approval. She had power, and she intended to use it. My wife, Colonel Sarah Mitchell, and I had been watching this unfold from our home across the street. Sarah, a 20-year veteran of the Army, was on leave after a deployment in the Middle East. She'd seen enough conflict to know when one was brewing, and Karen was a walking powder keg. I'm James, a high school history teacher with a knack for staying calm under pressure. But even I was starting to lose patience. Sarah, though, kept her cool, her military discipline holding firm. Let's see how this plays out, she'd say, her eyes narrowing as Karen's SUV rolled by. The tension built like a summer storm. Karen started leaving passive-aggressive notes on Eleanor's doorstep. Your flag is a disgrace to the neighborhood. Comply or face fines. Eleanor, bless her, kept raising the flag each morning, her frail hands steady as she saluted it. Neighbors began to whisper. Some, like Mr. Patel next door, offered to buy Eleanor a new flag, but she refused. It's not about the flag itself, she'd say. It's about what it means. Then came the twist no one saw coming. At the monthly HOA meeting, Karen unveiled her trump card, a petition signed by 3 neighbors, enough to force a vote on removing Eleanor's flag. The room fell silent as she read the names aloud. One was Mrs. Callahan, a timid retiree who later admitted Karen had pressured her into signing. Another was Mr. Jenkins, who thought he was signing for a new playground. The third name, though, hit like a gut punch: Tommy Grayson, Eleanor's late son. Gas rippled through the room. Eleanor's face crumpled, her hands clutching the photo of Tommy she always carried. Karen, oblivious to the weight of her mistake, pressed on. See, even her own son agrees. That flag comes down tomorrow. Sarah's jaw tightened beside me. I could feel the heat radiating off her, but she stayed silent, her eyes locked on Eleanor. I leaned over and whispered, how did she get Tommy's name? Sarah's voice was low, almost a growl. She didn't. She forged it. The next morning, the neighborhood woke to chaos. Karen, armed with a pair of gardening shears in her HOA authority, marched to Eleanor's yard. With a crowd of neighbors watching, she yanked the flag from its pole, snapping the rusted metal in two. The flag hit the ground, its faded stars and stripes crumpling in the dirt. Eleanor stood frozen on her porch, her sobs barely audible over Karen's triumphant, "This is for the good of Willow Grove." That was the breaking point. Sarah, who'd been watching from our porch, stepped forward. She wasn't in her usual jeans and t-shirt she'd put on her full dress uniform, medals gleaming, her colonel's insignia catching the morning light. The crowd parted as she approached Karen, her boots clicking on the pavement. "Mrs. Whitaker?" Sarah said, her voice calm but laced with steel. "Do you know what that flag represents?" Karen scoffed, tossing her hair. "It's a rag, Colonel. It's about time someone cleaned up this eyesore." Sarah's eyes burned. That rag was sent home by a soldier who died for this country. You forged his name to justify tearing it down. You desecrated his memory. Karen's smirk faltered. The crowd murmured, phones already out, recording the showdown. Eleanor, still clutching Tommy's photo, stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "You used my boy's name to hurt me. How dare you?" Karen opened her mouth to retort, but Sarah cut her off. "You violated HOA bylaws by forging signatures. Mrs. Whitaker, that's fraud, and you've destroyed private property. I've already contacted the authorities." As if on cue, a police cruiser pulled into the cul-de-sac. Karen's face drained of color. She stammered, "This is my neighborhood. I'm in charge here." "Not anymore," Sarah said. She turned to the crowd, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Mrs. Grayson's flag will fly again. I'll personally ensure it's replaced with one that honors her son's sacrifice. And Mrs. Whitaker, you'll answer for this." The fallout was swift and brutal. The police took Karen in for questioning, citing vandalism and fraud. The HOA board, humiliated by the viral video of the confrontation, voted unanimously to remove Karen as president. Neighbors rallied around Eleanor, raising funds for a new flagpole and a pristine flag, which Sarah presented to her in a quiet ceremony. Eleanor's hands shook as she raised it, saluting as tears fell. But the real reckoning came later. Karen's husband, a local real estate agent, lost clients when the video spread online. Their perfect life unraveled as neighbors shunned them. Karen tried to apologize, leaving a rambling voicemail for Eleanor, but it was too little, too late. The cul-de-sac had spoken. Karen's reign was over. By August, Karen's SUV was gone, her house listed for sale. Rumor had it she'd moved to another state, unable to face the community she tried to control. Eleanor's new flag flew high, a symbol of resilience. Sarah and I sat on our porch, watching kids play under its shadow. "Think she learned anything?" I asked. Sarah shook her head. "Some people never do, but justice did." What do you think? Was Karen's punishment fair, or did the neighborhood go too far? Share your thoughts below.